I've spent millions dropshipping with Facebook ads, so when my friend came to me after almost quitting, the advice I gave him next helped him scale his store. See, my friend got caught up in this whole organic dropshipping thing that I'm sure you've heard a lot about. He spent 5 months posting content every single day, hoping something would blow up. 0 sales. Now, when he came to me after this, completely burnt out, what I showed him next completely changed how he thinks about dropshipping. This page right here is a good example of what represents my friend. He was an organic dropshipper. As I said, I'm sure you've heard of it. This is essentially when someone goes, makes a TikTok page, starts posting content every single day about their product, and basically just waits for something to go viral and hope that that viral traffic goes to their link in bio and then buys their product. But the problem with that is that you're literally posting dozens of videos over weeks, waiting for something to hit. You don't know when something's gonna hit. You can't predict when something's gonna hit. And it's just very unsustainable. You're throwing darts at the board. Sure, he had a 2.9 million video, a 13 million video, and a 120K video. But in reality, what kind of sales would that have brought him? Short-term sales. It wouldn't have been sustainable. And I can see here that this person clearly gave up. February 26th is when they stopped posting. And that's what happens to all these organic dropshippers. They give up, you know, because they think like, oh, I don't want to spend money on ads because, you know, ads are too expensive. But the reality is ads is how you sustain your growth. When you see these big numbers of dropshippers doing 300K months, $1 million months, whatever, $1 million years even, right? It's because of social media advertising. The algorithms are so smart. They know everything about us, right? If I'm a protein customer, it's gonna know that. It's gonna know that I'm a fitness guy, I drink a lot of protein and I'm interested in those kind of products. And it's gonna know how my personality is, you know, what I interact with. It sees what kind of content you're interacting with on social media. So it's able to literally show you content that you'd most likely react to. And your job as a marketer is to understand your audience and to understand what content they would react to. So this is an old ad account of mine, and I thought it would be a perfect example for this video because I was able to scale this ad account in a matter of not even a month. These are a few ads that I was able to get data, get proof of concept, see if it works, and start scaling in the matter of a few days. Not weeks, not months. This is like taking my marketing skill and actually giving the algorithm the best possible chance of giving me success. As we can see right here, right? This was May 27th to May 31st. And I spent $823. I made back $1,500 with a 1.84. 1.84 isn't any good, but that's not the point. That's between all the ads. This was my winner right here. I had a 4.68 ROAS. Now, a few days of running this at this budget, this shows scalability. So all I had to do was then increase the budget and continue increasing as long as it showed me that it was scalable. Facebook did not have a hard time finding me more customers at this cost to acquire a customer. So this was very profitable for me. And this is what I mean by the power of social media. Like, it's incomparable to organic. And that's why we have the opportunity that we have today, why there's so many dropshippers, so many brands out there that are thriving. It's because they understand the power of these platforms. He was shocked when he saw how fast you can get results with paid ads. But then, of course, he makes the mistake that burns through most dropshippers' ad budget in the first week. He asked me which platform to use, and what I told him next saved him so much time, energy, and money. So here's the truth. Meta ads are superior to TikTok ads, and nobody can argue with that, because on Meta, when you find a winning ad, you can scale it for multiple weeks profitably, no problem. On TikTok, you find a winning ad, it lasts a few days, and then it dies down. So which one sounds like has the better ROI here? Obviously Meta. The good thing is both Meta and TikTok, setting up the ads is really the exact same process. We're not doing any interest targeting. We're not really doing much. We're just focusing on the actual ad, the creative. 90% of the work comes from actually making good ads, but actually going in here on Ads Manager and setting up the ads, that's only 10% of the battle. I'm gonna show you why. Here, you just click create, you're in your ad account. If you don't already have an ad account, go to business.facebook.com. And then same thing for TikTok, go to getstarted.tiktok.com. And I have those links in the bio below as well. In terms of Meta, let's go through it. So you click create, okay? And then it's gonna give you these options, okay? So we're gonna choose sales, and then we're gonna name the campaign after our product. So let's say I'm selling a cat hammock. And then I'm gonna go underscore sales, and I like to do underscore the date. So today's August 7th, right? And down here, you're gonna leave it at campaign budget, which just means that the budget is at the campaign level. The budget goes across all of the ads you run. So it's able to pick and choose which ads it puts budget towards, because Meta's a lot smarter than us. It knows which ad is more likely to perform. Say we put 5 ads in there. It's gonna know better than we do which one is more likely to perform based on the way that people on Facebook and Instagram are reacting to it, okay? Minimum $100, guys, because the algorithm needs 50 sales in a 7-day period for it to be able to know who to show your ads to in order to scale it, right? If it's unable to get 50 sales in the matter of 7 days, then it's not gonna be able to confidently scale your ad, and it's just gonna assume that people don't like your product and people don't like your ads. That's a whole nother conversation for another time, but this is the basis of it. Then we have the ad set, right? So this is the audience. This is who are we targeting? Who do we want the algorithm to show our ads to? It's actually not gonna be up to us. We're just gonna call this broad, because Facebook, the algorithm, does all the targeting for you with the creative that we put. So the video and the image ad that we create, we need to understand who it is that we're selling to, right? First, and then we give the ads to Facebook to go out and find those people that are relevant to our ads. Think of Facebook and TikTok as just a pool of customers. It's only dependent on how good your ads are that it will know who to show it to, and that will determine whether or not you make sales and scale. So that's the simple way of putting it. Now here, you're gonna choose website, maximum number of conversions. You're gonna choose your pixel. If you don't have one, just create one here and name it by your store. So let's say my store is called Cat Mania, and conversion event, select purchase, because we're looking for purchases, guys. It's simple as that, right? And then here, you don't wanna change anything there. Start date, we wanna make sure that it's at 12 a.m., right? So if right now it's 6 p.m., we wanna make sure that we schedule these ads for the next day, because we wanna give it a full 24 hours, right? That's just the best way to go about it. Now the audience, typically when it comes to dropshipping, like I always start with the US, right? And I never combine countries unless they have a small population. So if the US has 400 million people, I wanna just target that by itself, because that's so many people to work with. So when you're targeting Europe, there's a lot of most European countries are very small populations. I like to name it broad, but I also like to put the naming convention of my ad. So whenever you're creating ads for your product, you should just always set a naming convention for it, like a number. So like we can call this one, for example, 1, or I like to do 101. So 101_broad, and then I like to put the date because I like to just glance at ads and see when they started running. So then we'll go to the ad level, and then we're gonna call it 101, of course, and then it's either an image or a video. Let's say this one's a video, so I'm gonna make sure that I name that. I filtered this ad to, so I know when I glance at it in the ads manager that it's a video ad. Then you put your pages, make sure they're connected, your brand pages, and then we're gonna go down here to create ad, manual upload, and then we want to choose flexible, because what flexible does is it allows us to test a different variable here. So instead of one video, we'll take that video, but create a few versions of it that tests a specific variable. So you want to give the algorithm, the AI, variations to work with. So that way you could have a winning ad, but maybe your hook was crap, right? So a lot of the times, one variable, a good example would be a hook, right? So the first 2 to 3 seconds of a video, typically it's a big deal, because that's what stops people from scrolling. It either stops them or it doesn't. You don't want an ad to go to waste if you're not, just simply because you're not testing enough hooks. That's the most important part, the hook. In that case, I always test 3 videos or 3 images. Each ad set should be images or videos. Okay, so let's say in this case, we're testing videos. So we're gonna go and we're gonna add the videos. A preview is gonna show up here. Here, I'll show you an example. So this is how it would look when I add the videos, right? 3 videos, 3 different hooks, right? So the primary text, believe it or not, I just use 1 sentence. The main thing that I care about is the actual visual, the video or the image. That's what people pay attention to when they stop scrolling. Your primary text, your headline, description, these are just secondary, right? So I don't overthink these at all, but there's something that you do test as you start spending more budgets and scale, because the more money you spend, these little things can make a difference in your click-through rate, the amount of people that click, the amount of people that are interested, etc. Right? The first thing I would actually do is put your website URL. So like, let's say bazihassan.com. So then, there's a button that shows up here, right? This is where people click. We're gonna take the call to action and make it shop now, okay? We're not gonna do browser add-ons. We're not gonna do anything like that, okay? So now all we're gonna do is the primary text. So in this case, this was a portable, foldable bag, right? I just took these as an example. We didn't actually sell this, because I've seen this on TikTok. The primary text, the way I like to look at it is, you already did the hard work on your video, right? So you can take your hook from your video and make that your primary text. Let's take a look here. So literally like this, watch me pack over a week's worth of clothes in this travel bag. Boom, done. I always just test one primary text first, one headline first, and then maybe afterwards I'll test more than that, right? But I don't really try and test too many things with a small budget. I really like to focus the budget to be spent on the actual ad creatives when I'm only spending $100 in a day. The more variables you test, the less data you're gonna get on what truly matters. Once you spend more budget, then you start testing, because flexible ads creates many different variations for you. So the more text options and headlines you put, the more variations. But there's a method called the 3-2-2 method, right? So essentially that's 3 creatives, 3 headlines, 3 primary text, and then 2 headlines. I don't really follow that personally. I do follow the content side, which is 3 videos, 3 images. That's been the sweet spot over the last couple of years. I'll either do 1 or 2 primary texts, or I'll do 1 or 2 headlines, right? So in this case, and then the headline would be like 50% off now, something about the offer, or something that I think would convince people to click the shop now button. You wanna think like, okay, people watch the video, they're excited, but you also want the headline to really excite them to click as well. And that's it. That's literally your ad set. It's 101. So with a $100 budget, right? Remember I said that this is technically one ad. It's just testing 3 different hooks. It's the same ad that you came up with. It's just that you're testing different hooks. You're not testing 3 completely different ads, right? I like to look at ads as concepts. This concept is like the bag on the couch or on the bed, and I'm showing me doing it, right? So with $100, you wanna test at least 2 or 3 ads to really give yourself, variety, right? You don't wanna like put all your eggs in one basket with this one concept, right? So $100, you're gonna duplicate, you're gonna have another ad, 3 different hooks, let's say, and then you're gonna duplicate, you're gonna have another ad, 3 different hooks again, right? So these would all be different concepts. So now you're giving the social media algorithm a lot to work with to be able to give your product, a good opportunity in front of the users on Facebook to get people to buy, right? Because if you put all your eggs in one basket, well, again, it's kind of like throwing darts at the board here, right? But at least, right, the difference with social media is that you can acquire data so quickly, see what works and see what doesn't, just like I did with the ads that I showed you earlier. You want to run this for literally at least 3 days, and up to 7. So I always say 3 to 7 days. 3 to 7 days, you can 100% tell if something's working or something isn't working. Now, when it comes to TikTok, it's literally the exact same thing. So I'm not gonna walk through everything, just literally go click create. Okay, you're gonna click sales. Same thing. You're not gonna do TikTok shop, you're gonna do website. Now, if you can do TikTok shop, I would highly recommend that, because TikTok is going to prioritize TikTok shop over people trying to take users off their platform. Website, leave it at smart campaign, and then click continue. Naming convention, same thing. We're not gonna use the catalog. You're gonna put conversion as the goal. Data connection, you're gonna choose your pixel, same way we did with Facebook. Purchase is the optimization event. We're not gonna set a target CPA, and then budget, minimum $100. Like I said, started at 12 a.m., whatever your time zone is. Locations, let's just say in this case, we're doing United States. All good here. Placements, TikTok, including search results, yes. And then you're gonna put your website, automatically added URLs, and then you're gonna put 3 videos, right? In this case, we're not doing images, you're just doing videos. They suggest at least 6. I like to test 3 at a time, whether it's Facebook or TikTok. So call to action, you wanna make sure that it's just shop now. We don't need any of this. We just need shop now. That's pretty much it. This is actually a lot easier. You would just hit publish. Again, no targeting, nothing. So now, of course, my friend's getting excited and wants to get ads launched right away. But I had to stop him because I told him, if you don't know how to read the data like I do, you're gonna lose money fast. You guys should have seen the look on his face when I showed him the only few metrics that matter. First things first, right? Facebook has so many different columns. So I create my own custom columns to only look at the metrics that are important to me. So I have ecom KPIs, which is ecom key performance indicators. It's just what I named it. So essentially all these metrics right here. And I'm gonna have a Notion doc in the description that will teach you exactly how to set these columns up. You won't struggle with that at all. And then we have the engagement KPIs. So essentially this is to see the performance of our content, the videos, the images, are people stopping to scroll? Are people, watching the video? Are we holding their attention, etc.? Like these are metrics that are really important for you to determine whether or not something's working or not. First things first, right? Like impressions is the amount of time someone sees your ads. CTR is click-through rate, the amount of time, the percentage of people that clicked anywhere on your ad. Outbound CTR, the percentage of people that clicked your shop now link. So people that actually click to your website. CPM is the cost per 1,000 impressions. So the cost you pay to get 1,000 eyeballs and then on your ad, and then outbound clicks, the amount of people that click to your website, the cost per outbound click, the cost that it is to get people to click to your website. Then you have the content views, the cost per content view, the add to carts, the cost per add to carts, the checkouts, cost per checkout, and the purchases and the cost per purchase. And then you have the amount spent in the purchase conversion value, which is the revenue, the amount of money you made. And then you have the ROAS, the return on ad spend, which essentially, you got to know what your return on ad spend needs to be in order to be profitable. In my case, it was 2.6. And I will put in a calculator below as well in the description that makes it so easy for you to calculate this. You'll know exactly what return on ad spend you need to be profitable. So in this case, right, we have the e-com KPIs, which essentially I can see the behavior of people when they click on my ad, go to the website. What do? Do they add to cart? Do they not add to cart? Is this ad doing a good job at getting people to add to cart and buy? And then I also want to see the engagement KPIs, right? These are custom columns, and I'll have that in the description as well as set this up. The number of people that we were able to hook in to stop from scrolling, the hook rate, which is the percentage of people that stopped from scrolling, the hold rate, which is the percentage of people that we were able to hold their attention. All this other stuff is really just an extra. I don't depend on these metrics, but it's good to see, like the average play time and the amount of comments, shares, etc. on the video, right? It goes to show you whether or not people are interacting with your ad. So most important thing in terms of engagement, I want to see, are people stopping from scrolling and am I holding their attention well? Now, mind you, sometimes your hook rate might be high, but your hold rate might be low, but you still might be getting a lot of purchases and you might have a scalable ad. It's not a one size fits all. Sometimes you don't need to hold people's attention to get them to buy your product, right? But these are good measurements to look at to consider whether or not something's performing. So I tested a few different things, a few different concepts, right? A few different ads. Each ad I was testing the hook, right? So different concepts, but I was testing different hooks. So 3 videos in each one, right? We can see here that Facebook, since the campaign budget, it was at the campaign level, it was distributing this budget across all these ad sets. And here I can see that it didn't spend much money on these ones. It actually pushed most of the ad spend here to these 3. And we can see that this one was very unprofitable. It didn't work, clearly. 0.44 ROAS, horrible. But then Facebook had luck with these 2 creatives. Now, one has a $19 cost per purchase and one has a $41. They both got the same amount of purchases, but obviously this one is the winner. It's really as simple as that, right? Like I can see that this is very scalable, and I'm telling you right now, like you will know in a few days whether or not something will work. Do not question if Facebook is doing a good job or not. Facebook is smarter than you. TikTok is smarter than you. They know if something is likely to work or something isn't likely to work. They have a lot of data. And also, if people are not buying, then that's not Facebook's fault. That's your fault. That means your marketing sucks. So in this case, right, we see this one has 4.68. Let's look at the hook rate and actual hold rate, right? Like I can see here, typically, just so we're clear, you want to see at least 30% hook rate. So you want to see at least 30% of people are stopping the scroll. Now, when it comes to hold rate, this varies, but I typically like to see 20% or more. If you have a high hook rate, okay, people stopping from scrolling, but you also have a high click-through rate, but you have a low hold rate. So high hook rate, low hold rate, but you have a high click-through rate. That would probably mean that people are clicking almost right away after they're hooked in because they're so excited about your product. They're already sold, or they're already convinced that they're interested in this. So it's not necessarily bad if you don't hold their attention, but let's say your ad underperforms and you had a high hook rate, a low hold rate, and very little sales, then that probably means that your ad didn't do a good job at selling people, right? It hooked them in, but it didn't do, you actually needed to hold their attention to sell them. It might be a more complicated product that needs more explaining, more education, right? So in this case, we can see with the winning ad here, we had a solid hook rate and an amazing hold rate. That's like a double winning combo right there. So we not only hooked them in, but we held their attention. And mind you, this was a 10-second video, so it wasn't too hard to hold their attention, but the fact that it hooked in this well and also held this well, it's no surprise that I was able to get these results in the matter of a few days. So I started to scale the budget, and as time went on, we can look at Saturday, boom, 4 ROAS one day, first 1K day of that product. So that means I did $1,000 in sales that day. And then I kept scaling the budget. Now, the way we scale the budget is we go to the campaign and we increase the budget 20% maximum per day. As long as your results are there, right? And it's profitable, it's above your target. You want it to be above your target. If your target is 2.6, you need it to be above 3, above that, to show scalability, because the more budget you throw at Facebook, the more people it has to find, the harder it has to work. So it's gonna cost you more in terms of ad budget to scale. If Facebook is having a hard time finding more buyers, then your costs are gonna keep rising. And so then your ROAS will go down. So typically as you scale, ROAS comes down. That would mean that in order to scale, you need your ROAS to be higher than what your target would be, because it's naturally going to keep dropping over time. So let's say your target is 2.6, but you keep adding budget as long as it's not going below 2.6 overall. 20% daily, literally. So I kept scaling budgets, as you can see, let's say the next 7 days, right? I was consistently getting above my target. My target was 2.6 at 3.4. So we did almost 10 grand in sales here. And then if we look at all of June, I kept scaling, literally. I introduced more content, more creative, started testing more, spent 19,000 to make 62K, 3.23, and it doesn't stop there, okay? July, kept scaling because we had a winning product, right? And winning product is only a winning product if you have winning ads. We had winning ads. So here is when I stopped scaling the budget and I kept the budget as is, because, you know, we were kind of going towards our target. 2.6, 2.58 here, we were getting about 30% in profit, right? So that was our target. We wanted 30%. But I mean, technically we can settle for 20%, 25% if we wanted to scale more, but we spent $80,000 to make 206K back. So this was very profitable. That's as simple as it is. It's very simple, and just go watch it back if you need, because this is a lot. I understand it's a lot. This is how easy it is to scale ads. The hard work is in actually making ads that convince people to buy. That's where the hard work is. Understanding your customer, understanding who you're selling to, and making content that actually convinces them to buy. Now at this point, my friend's really starting to understand the game, but like most dropshippers, doesn't quite know how to make ads that fully grab people's attention in seconds. Now let me show you these small mistakes that cost me thousands in my early days of dropshipping. Content is everything. You need to learn how to make content that grabs people's attention, stops them from scrolling, and convinces them to buy your product. People buy based off emotion. They justify with logic. So you have to know how to make content that really speaks to them emotionally. And I wanted to show you guys this ad as a great example of that. This is something that we ran in the wintertime with my clothing brand, and we were able to do really well with this product. And this was actually the first ad that really hit for us. It did really well.
So what do you think big guys should wear?
Honestly, I think fits that are slightly oversized look the hottest. Kind of like that tracksuit fit, actually. Unless you're like very buff and look like The Rock, oversized stuff is gonna sit better on your body. Especially if you're a bit chubby, it's gonna like hug those curves more gracefully.
I couldn't agree more. That's why I love this tracksuit. Just feel.
And this is a 1-minute video, but right off the bat, right, you can see that we're selling men's clothes, but we're using women to actually, you know, help with the marketing, right? So he's talking to a woman in the podcast as if he wants to get her opinion on the outfit and the what looks good on a guy and whatever. And that's not a coincidence. We did that on purpose because we as men know how men are. Most men are very easy when it comes to females giving them attention or female validation. Men are very desperate for female attention, especially nowadays. So in marketing, it's a great strategy because, I mean, let's be real. If a woman says that this outfit looks good on men and oversized is the way to go and slim fit is no longer cool or whatever, a lot of guys, believe it or not, would buy into that and would buy the product for that reason. I think that's really the main reason why this ad worked so well, but also just the way we structured it, right? Like this is the hook.
So what do you think big guys?
So what do you think big guys should wear? And then she starts to answer it immediately.
That are slightly oversized. Hottest.
Love the hottest.
Like that tracksuit fit.
Kind of like the tracksuit fit you have on, actually. So people literally have like the attention of a rock nowadays. You have to think that not only do you have to hook them in the first 2 to 3 seconds, but you have to rehook them in over and over again, especially with short form content because they're short videos, right? We're accustomed to reward, want the dopamine hit right away. Right here, we go from, so what do you think big guys should wear? And then she immediately answers that question. question and then calls out the outfit he's wearing. So that's gonna hook people's attention even more, which honestly explains why the hook rate was so high and why it did really well. And then she explains a little bit more, she adds more context, and it's kind of like more conversational, right? You don't want to make this feel like an ad, so we made it a bit more conversational.
Especially if you're a bit chubby, it's gonna like hug those curves more gracefully.
If you're a bit chubby, it's gonna hug those curves more gracefully. Now, we didn't say that. That wasn't a coincidence, us saying that. We studied who it is that we're targeting. We're targeting bigger guys, chubby, you know, maybe more muscular, maybe buff, whatever, right? And so remember, like when you're looking at ads, you're always gonna buy off of what feels relatable to you, like what really convinces you that this ad is meant for you, this product is meant for you. That's really like what our intention was here.
Just feel this fabric for a second.
And then he goes into the quality of it, how heavy it is, it's weighted.
It helps with the fit, the oversized fit for bigger guys that you mentioned.
And then we know we're speaking to bigger guys, so we have to make sure that's mentioned, right? Like the size is up to 4XL, that's even more of a selling point to the audience that we're talking to, that the sizes are up to 4XL.
My eyes will distract you. I just had to get like 3 different colors because...
And then he's saying how he had to get 3 different colors because he loved it so much. That's gonna convince people even more. This ad did a really good job at making it not feel like an ad, but also speaking to the right consumer, the right person, right? If I'm selling Pilates clothes, I need to make sure I understand how Pilates women talk, how they think, right? What their vibe is like, etc. Anyways, that's just a good example right there. We did scale this ad, that did really well for us. Now, 2 weeks later, he sends me this screenshot that changed everything, his first 1K day on Shopify. But here's what actually made the difference and why this approach works when everything else fails. He stopped chasing viral organic content and perfect products. He focused on winning ads that he could control. You don't need to go viral. You don't need a massive organic following. You just need the right paid ad strategy where you can get results in literally a few days. By the way, if you want to dropship products from the US, doba.com has literally 19,000 pages of products that you can choose from. Just focus on winning ads, not winning products, and I promise you, you will win.